What up though, this your boy DOC, and before we jump into this video, after this video, make sure you check the description, check out all my merch. It's tons of new designs available, and I upload different designs weekly. Peace. What up though, this your boy DOC, and I got a very special guest on the line. If you want to go ahead and introduce yourself and where you from.
It's Octavius Miller, West Coast Hip Hop Awards CEO, Oakland, California.
Word. Now, before we get into, we're going to start a little bit like leading up into getting into everything that you got going on. You know, growing up at Oakland, like how was that experience for you during that time, during your era?
Oakland was beautiful. It was like what they call Wakanda in the Black Panther movie. It was really like that because, you know, we had, you know, black doctors, black lawyers, black garbage men, and black dope fiends, black everything. It was a beautiful city at that time.
And throughout that transition to Oakland, growing up, like when was it for you that you felt like, or do you feel like Oakland ended up making the transition of being like Wakanda to how people may envision it nowadays?
I think people that grew up there have a different thing to it. They have a different feeling, a different aspect about Oakland, because Oakland was one of those cities where all your dreams could come true. You know, it was a black utopia.
Mm. And like since that's the birthplace of the Black Panthers and everything like that, like did it personally affect you as an individual and how you looked at life and valued yourself?
Yes, it did. It made it, you know, because you had black pride. You know, I didn't see too many, you know, white people in my neighborhood. You know, and it was Mexicans. It was blacks, it was whites, but they were up in the hills. And so, you know, we rarely seen them come down the hill. You know, so it was good, man. The community was great. Everybody was it was what you call a one village. Everybody kind of thought alike. You know what I mean? We kind of was on one plane, and that was to uplift blackness.
Right. And like being a child, like how many siblings did you have?
I had it was 3 of us.
And y'all all grew up together?
Yeah, it was actually my dad had a couple of stepkids too, but it was mostly us. It was me, my older brother Keith, my sister Quetta, and my youngest brother was Seagram.
Mm. And how was all of you guys' relationship, you know, during that particular time? Did all of you guys like get along and move together as one?
We all did, but our whole neighborhood did. You know, everybody kind of stuck together. You know, and that was the difference between Oakland back then and Oakland now. Oakland now is divided, you know, but back then it was unified. We was all on one accord. But actually, when I was actually in, I'm gonna say the 5th grade, 6th grade, we had I started selling the Black Panther newspaper. I would help them with their what is called WIC now, but it wasn't WIC then. It was the Panthers actually doing it first. So they started the free breakfast program, and they also started the WIC program, which is women, infants, and children.
Right. Were you old enough to see? You know, of course, I'm not from Oakland, and I'm a little bit younger. You know, so hearing or like research, you know, a lot of individuals say it was like purposely done to come and dismantle the Black Panthers, like around there. Like, did you, when you were going through that or seeing that, like, how did you feel, or how did that like play out, like being there during that time?
It was a trip because it went from a beautiful place to almost, man, like a living hell almost. It was the transformation happened in a matter of about a 5-year period, and that was between 79 and 85. And they just started flooding our neighborhoods with dope. I mean, it was just like dope was damn near free. They just wanted to get everybody hooked. Mm-hmm. You know, I believe they invented crack at UC Berkeley, at the college on campus. But it was counter-pro because they really wanted to dismantle the Black Panthers because they were doing too much good in the community. The people were looking up to them. You know, the police didn't like them, but the police couldn't come in our neighborhoods and beat up on us and shoot us like they're doing today.
And with that happening, even though like individuals maybe start getting hooked and everything, did that build another form of resistance, or did people like go off their own separate ways?
It was division. I mean, it's divide and conquer of people that's trying to build and compete. I mean, like I said, Oakland was really Wakanda, man. It was really it was a black utopia city.
Right.
You know, it wasn't no trash everywhere. It wasn't no homeless people walking around, man. Everybody was working. Everybody was doing what they do. And it was just a beautiful thing to see. So I've seen it in my lifetime.
Right.
Where there was black unity. It wasn't no murders like that, shootings and stuff like they have in Detroit and Chicago and Oakland and L.A. and all that. It wasn't no gang stuff cracking off out there. And in Oakland to this day still don't have Bloods and Crips in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, was this process during that time, during that age, is that when you started getting involved in hip hop, or like what ended up being that transition for you to take on that, get a part of that lifestyle?
I mean, that it was just part of the party life. You know, we had parties back when you could do house parties and there wasn't no phone. You know what I mean? Everybody was having a good time. You know, you go there, you know, you're lucky you get a girlfriend that night. You know, so it wasn't like it is now where you throw something and somebody gets shot or somebody got stabbed, or, you know, we had fights back then, but that's all right. You know, you live to see another day. You fight, okay, that's cool. But it wasn't like nothing like where now they just shoot you with no remorse and, you know, leave you laying dead in the street. It just wasn't like that, man. So, but when drugs start infiltrating the city and taking over, you know, people start losing morals and values, and the rest is sad history.
Right, right. Were you the one that kind of spearheaded into like the music, or your brother Seagram?
I was already in it. We had our own group. And then I used to DJ a lot in Oakland, and we DJ house parties all over East Oakland. And then I used to sell tapes. We made our own group tape, and I used to sell that on the back of the bus. You know, Too Short be back there selling his tapes. I'll be back there selling my tapes, and we used to just ride the bus from Oakland to San Francisco selling cassettes. And this was the 80s, early 80s. So we were selling tapes for $5 a piece back then, and making good money. So, you know.
So who, along with like with yourself, who else would you consider like the pioneers of like hip hop, like in that actual era? You said Too Short, you was already doing your thing, because there was a couple other names that I heard that, you know, they're not still quote unquote doing their thing now, you know, but they have a legacy that started. I can't remember their names, but it was two other people I hear E40 would talk about a lot. But who would you consider like some pioneers of hip hop during that time?
Man, there was so many. I mean, like Rappin' Ron, you know, Ant Dilly Dog, you know, all those guys. They were huge. You know, we had stars, Baby Ray. It was a lot of rappers before, you know, 40 and all those guys. It was way more rappers before them. They just got more popular. They had another fan base out in Vallejo, Oakland and Vallejo, San Francisco, Hayward's where Spice One is from. And you know, all these different places. It's all Bay Area, but we weren't connected as far as musically. Everybody had their own individual style and on their own individual sound. Like Oakland sound was different than anybody else's. Ours was more bassy, more reggae-ish, you know, beats and stuff. San Francisco was more fast, like 11-5, RBL Posse, and all those guys out of that area. You know, their music was a little faster than ours. They had a different sound, but it was all dope. The music was creative, the music was innovative, and the Bay Area was really the pioneers in independent music. You know, we really didn't. We was the only area in the country that wasn't looking to get a record deal. We were creating our own.
Now, was there any like particular song or tape that you guys put out that end up like catching the attention of Rap-A-Lot? Did you sign along with that deal, you know, when your brother went, or was that something like individually that he did?
That was something individually he did. I didn't even know he was rapping until he came to me one day, because he heard us rapping all the time, and he would look up to us and be like, "Oh man, I'm gonna do that too." Be like, "Get out of here," you know. But it got to a point to where he just got really good. You know what I mean, really good. And he was one of those rappers you couldn't tell on his records, because he did songs, he did complete songs, but he was a freestyle king. Could nobody out freestyle see at all. And I remember this one time, this was after he had already had his deal and put out 2 records on Rap a Lot, but we drove from Oakland to LA. That's a 4-hour drive.
Mm-hmm.
And he rapped all the way there. All the way there, and rapped about everything, like the street signs, the highway signs, the cars. He blended everything in, man. He rapped 4 hours nonstop straight. That's when I knew he was special.
Okay, and another question I wanted to ask you, like what's going on as far as Seagram's legacy?
Well, Sig put out 3 records on Rap a Lot. You know what I'm saying? And he was a star, man. Everybody loved Sig, man, and he got like 6 kids, and his oldest son, my nephew Mac Real, he the one he carrying the torch right now. He the one that's getting out there making music, doing what he need to do to make it happen, man. I ain't got nothing but love and respect for my nephew. You know what I'm saying? And we just pushing the line, man. And hopefully Rap a Lot get behind him. If not, we still gonna push him on Seagram Records, and we just gonna keep that thing going, man. Because Sig has some good music. His son's rapping. He got a couple other sons. One is producing, the other one's doing this thing. But we gonna keep that Miller name alive, man. We're gonna keep Sig alive forever.
Right. Because I know kind of earlier, we briefly spoke on. So it's been some type of communication between, your nephew and Rap a Lot, or like how?
Yeah, he hit him up, and they've been talking, and so I don't know what the situation's gonna entail, but one thing that I do know is that, that's my nephew. You know what I'm saying? He always been putting in work. He's all, I basically raised him, man, so, he doing his thing, man, whether Rap a Lot or not, you know what I'm saying? He's Seagram Records forever, you know what I mean? So I hope everything work out for him. I hope, Lil J work with him, and, but if not, we gonna keep it pushing and make things happen on our own.